Hey there. Well, if it's Tuesday, it's time for comic book school, where we teach you the craft and business of everything comics. And tonight's show is going to be a fun one. We're going to be talking superheroes, but not the usual ones. It's going to be kind of the oddest, the lamest, the silliest, the most ridiculous ones to ever grace a comic book page. And Buddy's out tonight, so it's just me at the mic. But I did bring some friends. So if you help me, we're going to welcome Mr. Douglas Goldstein and Dan Milano.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you, studio audience. Thank you.
So how you doing?
I'm doing great. Dan, how are you doing?
Yeah, as okay as one can in 2025. Yeah, great, and happy to be here, sirs.
Yeah, so let's pull up this graphic we got here. So as we said, we're going to be talking about the oddest characters to ever grace the page. But let's get a little background on you guys first.
Oh dear.
There's me, Robot Chicken, and there's Dan. Dan's
we're all there.
Where's
Doug? I don't see Doug.
No, they probably didn't pay me enough to be in this photo.
Oh my God, Doug, where were you?
I don't know.
Let's see, and we got Mr. Douglas Goldstein from the days back at Wizard, Toy Fair Inquest, Robot Chicken, Devil May Care.
All about superheroes, mostly.
Yep. Good stuff. And Mr. Dan Milano from our time with Greg the Bunny, More in the Ape, Glitch Text, Robot Chicken as well.
Almost none of which deals with superheroes, although I guess okay. The Glitch Text kind of are.
Because that's why we're here today, just to talk about the wacky superheroes.
Hey.
So we can dive right in. Who do we got first? Okay, we got Arm Fall Off Boy. Now, what he can do is he can detach his limbs and do whatever with them. Use them as blunt objects, yada, yada, yada.
Was this designed by a toy manufacturer to cover the fact that
he's kind of just very lame? Because there's nothing that yes, he can, knock you around with his arm if he takes it off. But once he pulls one off, and he loses it, that's it.
Let me guess. Was this guy in the Legion of Superheroes?
He was probably maybe in the Legion of Substitute Heroes somewhere.
God, there was just a point in time where they were just daring each other to be stupid.
Wow.
You think that's it? Or were they like, this guy could actually do some good and he's going to be a good character?
No, I think maybe there was an interesting idea at one point to be different, to be like, oh, what if this guy can take his body apart? And he goes, yeah, he'd be Arm Fall Off Boy. And he's like, no, it's really interesting. Yeah, Arm Fall Off Boy.
I agree that the name implies sarcasm. It implies lack of effort. Intentional lack of effort.
Yeah,
or distinct for the reader.
Because he can, he can pull off his arms and his legs, but once that's done, he just lays there. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. He should be Arm Pull Off Boy. I don't think his arms spontaneously just fell off.
If we're being technical, he plorps it off.
Arm Plorp Off Boy.
He also has a sphincter where his armpit should be.
Oh boy. Now, I wonder if he can put like his right arm on his left shoulder, or if it only, attaches the way it should.
Oh, that'd be great.
Got to check the action figure, I guess.
Or could he put his legs where his arms are?
What else is attachable?
What else could he possibly do?
It's arm singular. So I think what you see is pretty much what you get.
He specifically pulls off his left arm.
So now if you guys had this power, you can pull your arms off. What are you going to do with it?
Tell no one.
Would you like to just, leave your arm in the dishwasher just to surprise people? Or...
You saw Thunderbolts.
I lived in Manhattan for 10 years and it just would have been really helpful, like on the subway, like rush hour subway.
Yeah.
Just or to fit through really, really narrow doorways.
I would never tell anyone I had this power until my kids were like in their teens and just do it like out of nowhere and watch them shit themselves.
Now we're gonna have to bleep that, Doug.
You probably use it for pranks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You could put it anywhere. Just leave it sticking around a corner. Put it in the closet. Put it in the toilet. That'd be a shock.
and get rich off lawsuits.
Oh yes. Oh yes. My arm.
My arm.
What'd you do, Wendy's? You cut off my arm.
Yeah, this coffee was so hot, my arm came off.
My arm fall off. We got.
Do you know what author created this character?
I don't know who created it. I probably should have written that down as some of the facts. Let's see. We got some comments coming in. We got some. We got Andrew Campbell. He's our resident Australian. Can either of you do an Australian accent? Because every week he comes on, says hello, and I torture him with my horrible Aussie accent.
I was just gonna say I didn't want to insult him with it, but my daughter's best friend is named Budgie. But that was terrible. That was absolutely terrible.
It's better than mine. Mine is usually just, hello, Andrew. Crikey. Put another shrimp on the barbie. It's terrible. But he
and you still tune in, Andrew?
Andrew still tunes in every week. We got one of our usuals, Victor Medina's back here.
Good day there, friend.
Yep. Wasn't he in the last Suicide? Yes, he was. Armful of Boy was in the last Suicide Squad. And he was terrible in there too. I think he got killed pretty quickly.
Was that the same guy or just some guy with similar powers?
I think it was. I mean, it was definitely supposed to be him. I
hear Darren typing. I want to type too.
Sorry,
type.
I'm just checking. Yes, it's him. Arm fall off boy and polka dot. Yeah.
Polka dot was great. Yeah.
Polka dot. That was
yes. So that was his power, Andrew. Yes, he could pull off his arms and beat you with them, but it's limited because if you can knock his arm away, what else is he going to do?
It looked very different.
Yeah.
In the film version, different costume.
But he has 4 long distance relay.
There's Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait. He played a guy called the Detachable Kid.
Well, yeah, but we know who he's supposed to be.
No, I stand by my argument that he was a similar powered character.
Mm.
And that's the end of that.
Okay. That's the end of that. Okay, well then we will move on to the next one. Who we get next? Mr. Dogwelder. Do you guys know who Dogwelder is?
I do now.
He basically welds dead dogs to the bad guys' faces.
This is not respecting what welding is.
Yeah, that's not how welding works.
Well, apparently it works for him because he is feared among the evildoers.
This guy is burn people man, and he has a dead dog.
Yeah.
Where does he get the dogs?
Well, that's really the question. I've never read any of his comics. He's in Hitman, but apparently he's a well-known character.
He is a known character.
Yeah, it's very
6 appearances in New Earth.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing, welding those dogs to people's faces.
According to this, he welds dead dogs to evildoers' faces. This guy's a hero.
He is a hero. Yeah, absolutely.
He's not a hero.
He's not a hero to the dogs or the villains.
I think face.
Again, I really wish I knew who we need to blame for this.
Well, see, that's another question. Like, this is in Hitman, so it's clearly an over-the-top sort of comic anyway.
Yeah.
But when they thought of this guy, like somebody came up with the idea of, let's make a guy who welds dead dogs to people's faces. And, whether it was a collaborative group and they were like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do what we can.
Yeah.
Did they think that it was going to be something spectacular? Like, oh, this guy's really going to go places.
I don't know. It's theater of the absurd. I have no idea what the readership looks for in Hitman. Did Hitman have a long run?
That I don't know either. I think it was a pretty popular comic, though.
Well, where's the adaptation? Let's get this going. It's like John Wick, only not at all.
I think if you're trying to show comic book readers something that they've never seen before, this is one of the things you end up with.
Yeah, touche.
Well, as the blank stare says, people speak highly of the Hitman series.
Yes, not because of this.
He's never read it himself, but he has heard of it.
I'm learning in comic book school. I want to check it out.
All right, let's move on. Next, we have Squirrel Girl, who everybody knows about. She has squirrel-like agility and can communicate with squirrels. Now, apparently, she's pretty big in the whole Marvel universe these days. Like, she's not just, a goofy character that runs around and controls squirrels. She's actually beaten Thanos and Doctor Doom.
And Galactus.
And Galactus.
Because someone at Marvel just doesn't care anymore. It's one thing if it's like a what if or something, but to actually have it in full continuity, that Squirrel Girl freaking beat Galactus they deserve a talking to.
Now, do you know how she beat Galactus? Was it just attacking him with squirrels?
Isn't it all she can do? She summons squirrels. It's not like
she summons squirrels. Apparently, she has squirrel-like agility, and I think she does have some sort of augmented strength. But still, it's Galactus. And how do you beat Galactus with squirrels unless have him, have every squirrel in the world climb into his mouth or something?
There's no answer to that. You're divided by zero.
Look that up. How did she defeat him? I do remember there was an animated series in the works for a while. I don't know where it's at now, but Rachel Bloom, who we all worked with at Robot Chicken, at one point she was approached as a potential Squirrel Girl, and that's how it got on my radar.
Oh, after you left, we worked with what is her name? Melania Van Traub or something?
Oh yeah, Milano, yeah.
Yeah, and she was cast as Squirrel Girl in the aborted New Warriors series.
Oh.
And I once asked her to help repair a Squirrel Girl action figure that my daughter had, and she insisted that she had no way of doing that, and I should stop talking to her. And I took that personally.
Why didn't you ask Seth to do it?
Yeah, Seth is an action figure guy.
It was really just a way for me to have fun with Ms. Van Traub. I had no care for this.
I see.
But I'm sorry, according to the internet, she didn't technically defeat Galactus. She distracted Galactus with her squirrels.
Okay. All right. Well, that's better than actually defeating him.
Yes.
Blank stares asking.
Anybody know the name of the squirrel Green Lantern? Because there is a squirrel Green Lantern.
Really?
Yeah, there is one. It's not like Chippy or Chirpy or Squeaky or something.
Nope.
First example when people
Doreen Green
care about comics.
Yeah,
Doreen Green. She's not affiliated with the Green Lantern. I don't see that here.
Apparently, one of our viewers, Drawn Swords, she's got random feats like biting through vibranium or something like that. So,
oh wow!
Apparently, she is a little tougher than just hanging out with squirrels.
Sure.
So now, if you guys had Squirrel Girl's powers, what would you do with your army of squirrels?
I guess no one would know it was me summoning the squirrels, so I could just have them do whatever the hell I wanted.
I guess unless you looked like a squirrel.
Do I have to dress like do I have to put on like a girl's squirrel costume to be?
We'll say for the sake of this argument, no, you don't. So you can just look like Doug, but you can control squirrels.
I'd have them help me move things like en masse, like you just get like hundreds of them under one thing, and then just have them all move together like ants. I also would just frickin' play and pet them and play with them all the time. I love squirrels. I think they're awesome.
You should get a pet squirrel then, Dan.
Yeah, I have a friend who has a pet squirrel. It's pretty sweet.
I would see how many squirrels you would need to pile in a pile of squirrels before the ones on the bottom are squished into one goo.
You would not be a hero, Doug.
You didn't say what would you do as heroes. You said, what if I had the power?
Oh yeah, I'd have them all like get inside a trench coat, and then I'd send them in places to pick up my takeout.
Well, I guess that could work. What else we got? And we have one of Doug's favorites, Matter Eater.
Despise this guy.
He can eat anything and digest it, and he's fine. And apparently, he's got pretty strong jaws because he can bite through anything, and teeth. He can chew anything.
Yeah, that would be sad if he could eat anything, but he couldn't chew anything.
That was my first thought about this guy when I first heard of Matter Eater. They're like, oh, he can eat anything. I'm like, that's great, but what if he's trying to eat a rock or a piece of glass or something? Isn't it going to cut his mouth up? But apparently they worked that in.
Here's a deep cut for Wizard fans. This guy created my most regrettable moment at the company, where I was trying to point out how ridiculous he is in his name. And I said, they're just making lads out of things. Matter Eater lad, that makes no sense. What about that keep squeezing them monkeys lad? And everyone else around me was like, that's awesome. And I'm like, no, it's not. And they started making this character in the magazine. They had, what's his name, dress up in a costume. They had tailor made of it and I was like, please stop.
But see, Doug, that character could have made you even more famous than you are.
No.
Gotta lean into it.
I don't want that.
And here's a good question from Glenn. How many times has he bitten his tongue? And I guess the question is, could he bite through his tongue?
Yeah, he can eat it.
It's Matter.
To be sure.
I
mean, I guess any of us could, though.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun though.
One saved the universe by eating an indestructible supercomputer.
Yes, I read that, and that was very strange, because if it's indestructible, he shouldn't be able to chew through it.
Maybe he swallowed it whole.
Oh, well, that's true. If it could have been very tiny. Yeah, that's true.
And you said he digests it, but do they deal with, do they deal with the digestion?
Well, here's an idea. He needs a poop laser.
Yeah.
That was just, I guess he can digest it. That was his backstory, that I think his planet was poisoned, so they all adapted to be able to eat anything and digest it.
That's how evolution works, by the way.
Poop Laser Lad is his college roommate.
Okay, so if you guys had this guy's power, what's the first thing you'd eat that obviously you wouldn't, have thought of to eat before? Like, I'm going to eat my car.
I would eat different woods. Like, I bet different woods all have different flavors. Like, I would be really interested to try every kind of wood.
This power has no rational use. Does he digest it for nutrients? Like, could I save money on food by eating dirt or something?
He does digest it, so yeah. I mean, if you were trapped in a room somehow, or somebody kidnapped you and buried you in a hole, you could eat your way out.
No, I have the superpower to avoid spending money on some groceries. That's it.
It would still just take forever.
Courage eat Taco Bell.
Brave.
And Glenn would eat his old boss's car. He's not deficient in iron, at least. That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So, Doug, you would not want this guy's power.
Pass. I mean, if it was the only power on the list, I'd be like, fine, I guess. But
yeah, I'm not interested.
No. Okay. Well, we'll pass on Matter Lad then.
We all eat matter every day. It's not that big of a deal.
And this one is somebody that I found in the deep dive of the internet. He was Brother Power the Geek. He is a store mannequin that got struck by lightning and then came to life. So he's basically like Frankenstein, but he was made in the 60s to be like a hippie and to kind of hang out and do all the hippie stuff of that time. And that's all he can do. He's been adapted a little bit more recently, that he could control like inanimate things and make them come alive. But his first power was just, he's an animated mannequin, and he was powered by lightning.
Does he have to be wet?
I don't think he has to be wet, but he was standing near an ocean, so he's there.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. This is fascinating.
Yeah, but see, it's questions like this that, were they just goofing around? Did they think, we need to have something like this character in our lexicon at the time? Or were they just like, let's just create the stupidest character we can think of and see what happens?
This is from an era where comic books actually sold really well, and they could produce this and still maybe make a few bucks.
A curiosity sale. Yeah, I would also presume that a lot of drugs are being done. And if you're somebody who's maybe already on staff and you just need to come up with crazy stuff all day, like out of 100 things, something gets picked, and this somehow made it to the top of somebody's pile.
Yeah, but were they thinking this guy's going to be great, or were they, he's gonna really turn the industry around? Like, this character is going places.
I don't think we have a grasp of the zeitgeist of 1968. There was certainly something going on that made this make sense in the pop culture of the time that we just can't possibly wrap our heads around. It's like that episode of Star Trek with the space hippies show up. That somebody thought that was an idea, and it got made.
What was that?
The space hippies with they called the guy Herbert all the time. Don't look it up. Just trust me, it exists, but don't look it up.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Let's see, Glenn Gatella. So DC just would throw whatever crap against the wall and use just the stuff that stuck. They used the slop that collected on the floor.
Yeah,
that's
that way.
And they're going to use everything, doesn't matter what.
And he does look like Leif Garrett. That's very true.
He did, yes. He does look like Leif Garrett.
I had you. I saw you the first time. Yes.
Well, it was being sold to the 12 and under crowd, and it was the 60s. That's true.
12 and under, wow.
Yeah, because those 12 and under kids, man, you want to see a mannequin that moves? Damn, I'm 12 and under. I love that.
Oh, somebody was a fan of that Star Trek episode, Doug.
Yeah, it was something. It was.
68 comics aren't even really being collected. I think they're just read and thrown away by most of the population. Probably true.
If anyone has any comics from 1968 they want to mail to me, I will accept them.
You will take them and be happy. So now, if you're put on, I think this guy was he was at DC. So if you guys were on staff at DC, and they're like, Doug, Dan, we're giving you a character to write your own comic about, what are you doing with this guy?
I would write a comic book about a comic book writer that was tasked to write a comic book about this.
It's too early for all that meta stuff.
How he hates his life, and his bosses are insane.
I do paper towel man. Who's like extremely absorbent and but like just never can just be wrung out and used over and over again. Clean up any spell. Can reach things that are really far away just by unrolling.
Yeah. That sounds like a good plan.
I think it probably would have gotten approved.
Could make it a Shakespearean tragedy. Now that would be good for Brother Power the Geek.
Yes.
Yeah, like a towel, exactly. I think geek here is being used in the meaning like the sideshow geek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, who's next on our list? We got Stone Boy.
About his design, though, he looks nothing like a mannequin. Like there's nothing about him to suggest that this was once a mannequin, or literally nothing. And I think that's an oversight. I think that's a failure on a design level. At least, I mean, I guess the joints are hidden because of the clothes, but I would be more amused if it had the face of the almost like featureless face of a mannequin.
Mm.
You have to appreciate the symbol, though. If a symbol would ever communicate that I am a reanimated mannequin, it's that symbol right there.
That screams, I'm a reanimated mannequin. God. He's got potential if you explore superficiality of human society.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, of this plastic body culture.
Or maybe he's an allegory for man's inhumanity to man.
No.
Sorry, you were moving on, and I pulled you back. Stone Boy from the planet Zwen.
Must be another member of the Legion of Superheroes. Yes, was invited to join the Legion, but chose to remain with the subs, whoever that is.
1963. He can turn his body to solid stone, but becomes completely immobile. So will he become like a statue, I guess?
That appears to be it, yeah.
Yeah, he'd be good for, blocking a doorway or something like that, being a nice lawn ornament.
Yeah, not being able to move is like Ben Grimm would just like walk over him.
Block the doorway. All right.
That's so sad. Yeah, he'd just be like a stopper, a doorstop.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew knew a stoned boy in high school.
Yeah, there's a legion of stoned boys.
Now, if you have this guy's power,
you could just have this podcast be a weekly thing with just DC Comics in the 60s, I think.
We could probably do that for quite a while. So if you get this guy's power, what are you doing, when you turn to stone, and where would you place yourself?
So what would I do if I turned to stone while I was asleep? Oh, the possibility.
Sleep like a rock.
Put that on a t-shirt. That's awesome.
Oh my God. I guess I would just hold papers down, or I could open the window near my office and I can just hold the papers down so they don't go anywhere. It'd be my own.
Your own paperweight.
Yeah, my own office assistant. That's probably the dumbest thing we've seen.
I don't know about that. I don't know. It's tough. There's quite a few.
I do, and I don't want to read this guy's any issue he was in to see what the hell they did with him.
They basically would just have him. I guess he could block a doorway as no one's getting through, or just say you threw him through. He was flying around. They dropped him from the air, and he turned to stone. He could land on you. That would hurt.
Yeah, it could hold you underwater, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. I guess he could wrap his arms around you and turn to stone, and you couldn't get out.
But he's literally turned to stone, not incredibly tough iron. If he was I'm going to stop that car, it's no, that car's going to crush you.
What? Crush him?
Yeah, he's stone. If you drive into a statue of a man, the car's not going to. Well, the car's going to get broken, but it'll keep going. Just break the statue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, read him and his arch nemesis.
Yeah, because he poops on it.
Yep. They follow him everywhere. He's always God damn it.
I know most of these guys, the substitute hero guys, were all I mean, they were jokes in and of themselves, but there were probably jokes in the writer's room as well. Just like, what can we come up with the worst superheroes and superpowers that we can think of? And they did. They did a good job. The Legion of Substitute Heroes had some really, really wacky ones.
Is that where you found a lot of these?
A lot of these were from there. A lot of them I just, was like Googling the worst, lamest superheroes you can find. And they all kind of came up as the same ones. It would be cool if you could isolate minerals, like if you could morph from sand to glass to diamond or a city. That would be kind of,
yeah, that's much better. And not, and be able to move. That's what you want. The fact that they
move,
can remain awake but can't move. Basically, Stone Boy turns into a mannequin.
Then he's hit by lightning.
Yeah, that was so much more creative. The idea of like utilizing minerals. But God,
Mike, don't you dare ask us what we would do if we had this power.
Yeah, please.
You guys had this power.
He did already, actually.
Oh, I forgot. What did we say?
Paperweight.
Paperweight.
Yes, paperweight. Doug, you didn't answer because you were horrified by this.
There's no answer. What would you do if you couldn't move? I don't know what.
You could go on somebody's lawn and put yourself in a compromising position and then turn to stone.
Aside from the stone part, I could do that right now.
Yeah, but they could easily move you. They couldn't easily move a stone boy.
I don't see the advantage.
Next,
we have Tag. Have you guys heard of Tag? Now, Tag is he's one of the new X-Men, and his power is that when he touches you, you're it, and everyone runs away from you. So, yeah.
I gotta say, there's something terrifying and interesting about that power, that you just make everyone run away from you in fear or confusion. That, like, I can't see it in a superhero book, but there's that I can see that as a really dumb horror movie.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of casting, putting the frightened condition on somebody in Dungeons and Dragons. It's like instead of them fleeing, everyone else in their presence flees. Yeah, I guess so. Does it last long?
I didn't research it that deeply. It's just it seems ridiculous because if he's touching like villains, he can touch a villain and all his goons will run away.
Yeah.
Or it's good, I would say, in a situation where, just say you were, like the power conduit and everybody was using your power. They could touch that guy and everybody else runs away from him. But in most cases, it's very, very useless.
I disagree. I think if you're facing a group of evildoers who are ready to attack, and then you subtly make them all afraid and confused, that's like step one in the battle. You should do that.
I guess you could definitely deplete the ranks.
Yeah. Like get Cyclops to throw you like a fastball special, and when you hit them, you just make them all go like and run away.
What if you're only fighting one guy, like you're fighting Dr. Doom?
No, that's not his job.
And all of your people would run away in fear as well.
Yes, that's right. Literally everyone. But
no,
you.
If only one villain shows up, this guy goes home. It's not.
I think you should be able to tag one person, make them it, and then tag another person and make them obsessed with that person or whatever, like trying to get them, or the opposite. Like one is it and one's the target. And then at least you could create associations between people or something.
Interesting. So in Chaos has its tactical applications. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I like this guy.
It'd be good if you were on cue for amusement rides. Yes, touch yourself. Everybody runs away. You get all the ride to yourself. That's a good one. Good old tag.
So,
Yeah.
Doug, are you going to be pitching a tag series?
If anybody wants to hear about a really bad horror movie, I would give it a shot.
You should sit down and write that one, Doug.
No.
But look at how popular these characters are.
The fact that this person's in the X-Men is outrageous.
X-Men Academy X.
Yeah. They really got weird when they started filling out the background characters of that series.
They're technically a mutant. They don't want to discriminate. And so, everyone's just like, oh, hey, tag. They can't turn them away. Or them away. I can't tell.
An ancient tongue in his ear. Not it.
Wasn't there some character they suddenly, like a few years ago, said was a founding member of the X-Men, but his power is everybody forgets him. So he's always been in the X-Men, but you just never remember him.
Isn't that like Sentry?
No. This is someone who's texting, someone who writes a text. Who is this guy? Talk about someone real.
I don't know.
I'm not going to Google it.
Don't Google it.
No, if they don't know, then I don't know.
Academy X. Yeah, I'm guessing it's the new school for the new X-Men classes.
What happened to the old school?
I guess their characters are getting kind of old. Besides Wolverine, all getting kind of lame.
Okay.
Lost their funding.
Yeah. Imagine getting assigned this character for a solo.
Yeah, exactly.
I prefer this to Dogwelder. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't.
Dogwelder. See, he's got at least fun. This guy, I don't know. Do you think he was just made up to be fun, or were they like, let's see what we can do with him?
I honestly think some writer had a classroom full of mutants in this academy and just had to give each one of them a name and power, and he's just like, God damn it! This is what he came up with. This is number 32 of the group.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. Let's see, who do we have next? Hindsight Lad. Now, I like this guy. This guy's good. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he has the ability to analyze what should have happened, and then he can tell you exactly what you should have done and what went wrong.
We all have this power already.
Yes, this is this is like an ultimate fan power. This is everyone who of our generation who saw the Star Wars prequels.
This
is everything you've done wrong.
Wow.
Sounds like my parents as a hero.
And the current generations, with the Star Wars sequels, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. See, this guy, I would say, was clearly drawn up as just a goof.
Yeah.
But do you think a character like this could actually take off if he's written well enough?
No.
Not at all. Not at all. I wouldn't even say this is a superhero. I mean, it literally says there's no superpowers. This is just an asshole. Sorry.
He's just a jerk.
As you read the book, you're already in your mind. So it's not like this character on the page is going to do anything new for it.
Oh, here we go. A nice little pun. Let's get past him so we can consider it in hindsight.
Yes, looking back, you know what we should have done? We should have left Hindsight Lad off the list.
It's all lame superheroes. Oh, and this is one of my favorites too. Friendly Fire. He has energy blasts, but he can never hit his enemy. He can only hit his teammates.
Well, he could make Hulk really angry, I guess.
He could make Hulk really angry. And I guess if you think about it, if he's just going out on a mission solo, he can't really hit his teammates, but I guess he still wouldn't be able to hit the enemies either.
He could hit absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
But wait, is this a mental limitation where he will always subconsciously aim for his teammates, or like if he closed his eye and shot, the force beams like veer away from the eyes?
I think, and again, I didn't do that deep of a dive into this. I would think that the energy beams would still not hit anybody, but would hit his teammates. Wouldn't hit the bad guys.
Unexplainable. There's no way to, unless there's some sort of immunity over this guy's shoulder 24/7.
You're starting to break up, Doug.
Am I?
Yes.
You get some kind of feedback on your mic.
Well, maybe if you can get him to join the bad guys, but then he would still hit the bad guys. Oh, I guess if he turned for that minute, that'd be an interesting one.
Oh yeah, that's good.
If you could convince him that he was a bad guy, then that would be interesting. So I think this guy again was just made up as a goofball. But do you think anybody really thought he can go places?
I don't think so. But it implies in the clip, in the art here, that he's managed to do it and is trying to maintain the ability to hit his target. So somehow he managed it, and he's just trying to focus.
I think that
there was one that I did see from this panel where he was holding the power in so he wouldn't hit his teammates, but then his head ended up exploding or flying off.
Okay.
So he didn't actually do anything, but he didn't hit his teammates either.
If you don't want to let your buddies down, don't try shooting the enemy.
Yeah.
Just go home. Just go home, and we all win.
Yeah, you could go hang out with Stone Boy and Matter Eater Lad.
what if we I don't know if
That's you. Nope.
If Matter Eater Lad eats Stone Boy,
Oh, I guess he could.
is it me? Oh, actually, I think is it me doing the feedback? Suddenly, for no reason.
Are you? You're not glitching out. It's just Doug. Oh, is it Dan? Is it Doug?
Yeah, it does sound like Imperial Droid. I think it's me.
muted, but it's happening.
Somebody said they get an echo from Dan and Doug. Uh-oh.
I just want you to know that before we started the show, I asked Mike if he was getting any echo.
I did.
We did a sound check.
I did not get any echo at all. Apparently, Hitman pukes on Batman's chest in the first issue.
I gotta read Hitman.
Dogwelder seems to be the best of this bunch.
Is that everybody?
What was that?
Is that the end of the Weird Hero?
Into the what? The Weird Hero? Yeah, those are the big ones. Oh.
Changing my microphone.
Oh boy. Yeah, so that was our last one, Friendly Fire. Now, if you guys had any of these guys' powers, or could have any of these guys' powers, which one would you want?
You love asking me.
Can we go through them? I guess the Squirrel Girl thing.
The what? Squirrel Girl?
Squirrel Girl. I can think of uses for a minion, a whole pile of squirrels doing my bidding.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean she's the closest thing to a serviceable superhero that you could write a story about. But my second favorite is Dogwelder. I just want to learn that process. I want to be handy. I guess Matter Eater Lad, a lot of people would probably choose that, but I want to try Dogwelder. Then I could finally get rid of all these dead dogs and put them to good use.
Or we could have the new hero today as Audio Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose, I would go with Dogwelder. I don't like the idea of having to find the dead dogs, but doing this especially to a bad guy would be kind of fun.
I still say burned flesh cannot be attached to more burned flesh with a welding iron or whatever it's called, welding torch.
Oh, ye of little faith.
I think if you melt the flesh enough and it hardens, once it starts to heal,
I don't think melted
Yes, you have to hold the dog on long enough for it to start to heal,
well,
and eventually,
doesn't harden.
that's true. Well,
It turns to ash.
I believe the dogs did have to be dead, Philip.
Yep.
otherwise it's too gruesome.
Oh, you could, yes, artisan hot dog. So craziness. Drone Swords, he'd like Brother Power the Geek if you could rename him to Mannequin Man.
I think there's potential in Mannequin Man.
Think so?
You make a good agent, field agent.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, flower power makes more sense if they were going for that hippie thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess it at the times, just say, could Dogwelder have done well in the 60s with Mannequin Man? Or was that just not going to happen at the time?
I don't think the 60s crowd would have appreciated that kind of humor.
It's a little too early for them.
A little too brutal.
Yeah.
It's more National Lampoon perverted sick humor. But that was late 60s, early 70s, right?
Yeah, for Mannequin or Brother Power. Yeah. So, yeah, Squirrel Girl is your two choices.
Be mine.
Yeah.
I think Squirrel Girl is relatable. And yeah, just like a fun character.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't
a fun
mind
outsider character.
Could you eat the squirrels?
Matter Eater Lad could eat the squirrels.
Like if you go down on a plane, do you have a constant food supply if you're trapped? Just have squirrels come to you?
I guess you could, but would you want to? Because they're your friends.
I don't want to be crashing in a plane, but you got to do what you got to do.
Maybe you could just have the squirrels gather you nuts and twigs and bring them to you to eat.
Or let them eat the twigs and fatten up. I'll eat them.
Wow. That's cold, Doug. That is cold.
Sorry. Been watching too much Yellow Jackets.
All right. I think that takes us about through the end of our slideshow here.
Well, before this slideshow, what was your guys' least favorite heroes?
You mean any besides these guys?
Besides these guys.
I never liked Karate Kid. I always thought that was just a dumb thing because anybody can do karate. It's not like he had any special extra super karate powers.
Good point. Kind of like Hindsight Lad, or the hell his name was.
Hindsight Lad, yeah. Yeah, so there we go. That brings us to the end of our wacky oddball superheroes. Yeah, so
This is fun.
That'll about do it for us tonight. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for having Doug and Dan on today.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, pass it on to your friends. And we will see you next Tuesday.